Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. I would like to welcome all of you with the Islamic greeting. Assalamu alaikum. Dear students, in the last lecture we discussed the introduction of environment. Today we are going to discuss the second topic of this chapter, that is about the components of the ecosystem, about food chain, food web, and some more basic definition. So let's start with the components of the ecosystem. As I discussed earlier in the previous topic, that environment can be divided into two major factors, that is biotic factor and abiotic factor. Similarly, if we talk about the ecosystem can be divided into two components. Remember it, that all the living organisms, whether they are plants, whether they are animals, whether they are protozoa, microorganism or fungi, they collectively form the biotic component of a particular ecosystem. For example, in this diagram, the plants, the animal, fungi, microbes, protozoa and all other living organisms which are present in the environment of these things, they are called the biotic component or biotic factor of these things, or biotic factor of ecosystem. That is why I have written all living organisms including plants, animals, fungi, protozoa and prokaryotes are called biotic component. If we talk about the presence of biotic factor, that what is their upper limit, lower limit, where they are found, then we come to know that the biosphere. In the previous lecture, I defined the biosphere: on the earth, above the earth or below the earth. Below the earth means in the inner layer of the earth, wherever the living organisms are found, it is the part of biosphere. So, biosphere is spread over the surface of the planet Earth, extending about 8 to 10 kilometers to the upper reaches of the atmosphere, and the same distance into the depth of the sea. It means from the surface of the earth to the upper layer of the air, that approximately counts for 8 to 10 kilometers. In this region living organisms are found. Similarly, if we go in the depth of the ocean or sea, so from the surface of the ocean to the depth of 8 to 10 kilometers, living organisms are found. So if we talk about the abiotic component, all the non-living components which are present in the environment of these things, for example, it may be light, air, temperature, soil and water and many others. All these non-living component or non-living factor of the ecosystem, they are known as abiotic component of that ecosystem. So all the non-living component like air, water, soil, etc. are called abiotic component of ecosystem. Remember one thing, whenever we study the environment or ecosystem or biome, we oftenly use some terms, biological terms, which may be hydrosphere, lithosphere and atmosphere. We should be very well aware about the definition and concept of these terms. So if we talk about the hydrosphere, it is the combination of two words. The first word is hydro, which means water. The second word is sphere, which means place. So that part of the ecosystem where water is present, that is known as hydrosphere. As we know that 70% of the surface of the earth is covered with water in the form of ocean, glacier, ice cap, etc. So this region is collectively known as hydrosphere, where water is present. If we talk about the lithosphere, again it is composed of two words. The word litho means soil, and the sphere, I have already told you, it means place. So dry part of the earth, or the part of the earth on which soil is present, it is known as lithosphere. And if we talk about the atmosphere, the word atma literally means air. The word sphere means place. So that part of the planet Earth where air is present, that is above the surface of the earth, it is known as atmosphere. The part of ecosystem where air is present is known as atmosphere. Furthermore, if we talk about the processes which are taking place in the environment or ecosystem, it is very essential to understand, to learn about these processes. Remember one thing, there are many processes, countless processes which are simultaneously happening in the ecosystem. But broadly we can say that there are three types of processes which are going to happen in an ecosystem simultaneously. So one of them is the feeding process. Every living organism needs some nutrition. Some manufacture their own food. There are other organisms which cannot manufacture their own food, but they take in food directly or indirectly from autotroph. So the second process which is happening, that is the circulation of chemicals. Different living organisms, they attain chemical elements from their environment. They utilize them for their life, and when they are dead, they are decomposed by bacteria and fungi, and these elements get free and recycled into the environment. So the second major process which is happening is the circulation of the chemicals, for example nitrogen, phosphorus, hydrogen, oxygen, carbon, etc. The third major process which is happening in any ecosystem, that is the flow of energy in the ecosystem. But remember one thing, when I was talking about the circulation of chemicals, I used to say that these are circulated from living component of environment into non-living component, and from non-living environment into living bodies. But the flow of energy is a unidirectional process. I mean to say, it is not circulated between the living part of the ecosystem and the non-living part of the ecosystem. In the later section of the topic, I will discuss it in detail. Now, if we discuss the component of the ecosystem, I already said there are two main components, biotic component and abiotic component. Now we are going to discuss the biotic component into subgroups. Remember one thing, all the biotic components, they are broadly classified into three main categories. They may be producer, they may be consumer, or they may be decomposer. That's why I have written an ecosystem contains three main biotic components. They may be producer, they may be consumer, or they may be decomposers. And all of them, they are involved in the three processes which I have already discussed. I mean to say, all of them, producer, consumer and decomposer, they are involved in feeding process, they are involved in the circulation of the chemical elements, and they are involved in the flow of energy as well. So let us try to explain them one by one. If we talk about the producer, these are the living things which can take in inorganic compound from their environment, for example carbon dioxide and water, and then they combine them chemically in the presence of light and chlorophyll and produce simple carbohydrate like glucose. Then from this simple carbohydrate they can manufacture all the complex organic compounds which are necessary for their life, and in this process they liberate oxygen. This process, you are well aware about it, it is known as photosynthesis. So we can say that producers are autotrophs. They are capable of synthesizing their own food. talk about the examples of the producer, all the plants and algae, they are producers. In the next section, if we talk about the consumers, these are the living things which cannot manufacture their own organic compound by combining the simple inorganic compound like carbon dioxide and water. So we can say they are heterotrophs. They cannot carry out this chemical reaction in their bodies. For example, all the animals, they may be protozoa, they may be higher animals, amphibian, reptiles, fishes, birds, mammals, etc. All of them, they are consumer. They get their nutrition directly or indirectly from the producers. And if we talk about the decomposers, remember one thing, these are the living organisms which used to get their nutrition from dead organic matter. They decompose the dead organic matter which was obtained from the death of the living organism, and they release the chemical nutrient which was found in these living things. They help in the recycling of the material. For example, if any living thing dies, it contains a lot of protein in its body. The bacteria and fungi, they decompose this protein, they break up into amino acid. Amino acid contains ammonia, they liberate ammonia into the soil or in the environment. Then this nitrogen goes into the atmosphere. From atmosphere, plant regain it with the help of bacteria, because there are certain bacteria which can capture the nitrogen, which can fix the nitrogen. They are known as nitrogen fixing bacteria. So these are the living organisms which decompose the dead organic matter and help in the recycling of different chemicals. If we talk about the food chain, remember one thing, that all the living organisms, they have to manufacture their food or they have to get their food indirectly from the producer. So the relationship between the organism on the basis of the process of making food, eating food, and of being eaten as food is represented by a chain. So their relationship of producing food, eating food, and of being eaten as food, it is represented with the help of a chain. This chain, which is representing the relationship of nutrition between the organism, it is known as food chain. I have drawn a simple food chain here. In this food chain, first of all, I have written the grasses, then grasshopper, then frog, then snake. If you see, there is an arrow in between the grasses and grasshopper. Grasses, they are producer. They are capable of manufacturing their own food by photosynthesis. So any food chain, it will always start from a producer. As I already said, it may be a plant or it may be algae. Now what this arrow is representing? This arrow contains two parts. One is head and other is tail. The head represents the organism which has to eat the previous one. So this relationship indicates that grasshopper gets its food from grasses. Similarly, this arrow has the head toward frog, so it indicates frog gets its food from grasshopper. Similarly, there is another arrow which is present between the frog and snake, and the head represents that snake gets its food from the frog. Remember another thing, there are different trophic levels in the ecosystem. The first trophic level is always of any producer. That is why I have mentioned it T1, representing the first trophic level. Any organism which gets the food from the producer directly, that is at trophic level number 2. and any organism which get the food from that organism that is at trophic level number 3, and the next trophic level should be 4. So that is why I have written any food chain always start from producer. What is the definition of trophic level? The level of ecosystem at which an organism gets its food is called a trophic level. Remember one thing, there may be 3 to 5 trophic level in a food chain. That is why I have written there are 3 to 5 trophic level in a food chain, and producer always form the first trophic level. After having a little bit knowledge about the food chain, now we are able to understand the food web. So if we talk about the definition of the food web, it is the combination of many food chains. When hundreds or thousands of food chains present in ecosystem, they combine together and form a net. Then this net of food chains is known as food web. But remember one thing, I have made a food web right in this diagram. It is very simple, but food web is not as simple as I have mentioned on the whiteboard. That is why I write here, food webs are not simple. Now question, why they are not simple? There are two basic reasons. The first reason is most of the animal eat more than one type of food. For example, if you analyze yourself, what is your food? You can have vegetables. It means you are getting your food at first trophic level. Then you can have chicken. It means you are getting your food at trophic level number 2. Or you may eat fish, or you may eat beef, or you may eat mutton. So if we talk about the food of the human being only, a man enjoys different type of food. So that is why the food web, it is not as simple as we think. What is the second major reason of the complexity of the food web? That is, they get their food at more than one trophic level. In the later section, I will discuss it in detail that how we can say that they get their nutrition at different trophic levels. Now, if we talk about the trophic level, you can have a look at the diagram. These are grasses. They are autotroph. As I already said, the autotrophs are present at trophic level number 1. All the food chain, they are started from some autotroph. So I have mentioned it with T1 because they are present at trophic level number 1. You can see that it is a beetle which gets its food from these grasses. So we will say that this beetle is getting its food at trophic level number 2. Similarly, if you have a look at the mice, it is getting its food directly from producer. The producer was at trophic level number 1, so we will say this mice gets its food at trophic level number 2. Similarly, if we talk about the rabbit, it is directly getting its food from autotroph. We will say it is taking its food at trophic level number 2. Now, if we talk about the fox, this fox is getting its food by eating the beetle. Beetle was at trophic level number 2. Now, this fox will be at trophic level number 3. If we talk about the owl, it is eating mice and mice was at trophic level number 2. So, we will have to admit that owl is getting its food at trophic level number 3. Similarly, if we talk about this dog, it is getting its food by the prediction of the rabbit, we will say dog is getting its food at trophic level number 3. Now let's have a look at the trophic level number 4. The grasses are at trophic level number 1. Mice is at trophic level number 2. Then owl is at trophic level number 3. But we know that fox can get its food from owl by killing the owl. So if we look at this chain, then we will have to admit that fox is getting its food at trophic level number 4. That is why when I was talking about the complexity of the food web, I used to say that food web are very complex, and the reason of the complexity is that one organism is getting its food at different trophic levels. If we analyze the fox and the dog, both of them, they are getting their food at trophic level number 3. And they are also getting their food at trophic level number 4, and it is the major cause of the complexity of the food web. Now we have to learn about some more terms. Remember, they are producer and all of them, they are consumer. So those consumer which are getting their food directly from the producer, they are known as primary consumer. And those organisms which are getting their food from primary consumer, they are known as secondary consumer. In this diagram, this fox is a secondary consumer because it is getting its food from primary consumer. Similarly, this owl is a secondary consumer because it is getting its food from primary consumer. Similarly, this dog is also a secondary consumer because it is getting its food from primary consumer. If a consumer gets its food from secondary consumer, then it is known as tertiary consumer. So we can say these fox are tertiary consumer as well. How we can justify it? Look at the diagram. They are producer. This consumer is directly getting food from producer, so it is a primary consumer. This consumer is getting its food from primary consumer, so this consumer is secondary consumer. So this consumer is getting its food from secondary consumer, so we can say it is a tertiary consumer. So simultaneously this fox may be secondary consumer or it may be tertiary consumer. So if we talk about the benefits of these food web to the ecosystem, so one major benefit to the ecosystem is that the stability of the ecosystem is maintained with the help of these type of food webs. How we can justify it? All prey on rabbit and mice. If we look at the diagram, this owl is getting its food from two sources in this diagram. It can have mice or it can get its food from rabbit. If something happened to the population of the rabbit due to a certain disease, if its population is decreased, then what will happen? That is why I have written, if a disease reduces rabbit population, then what will happen? Think about it. What will happen? A few plants are consumed because these rabbits were having its food from these plants. Now these rabbits have decreased, so there are no rabbit to eat the plants, so the population of plant will increase. So what will be the result? These plants, they will produce more and more seed and fruit. On the other hand, what these all will have to eat? they will eat more and more mice, and its increased population will start to help the mice population to grow in size. At the same time, the population of the rabbit, which was reduced earlier, will get enough time to gradually increase its population again. That's why if few plants are consumed, large plant population produce more fruit and seeds. It in turn support a large mouse population. Its population will increase. Increased population of mouse become the food of the owl, and rabbit gradually regain its population size. So that was the reason I was saying that the stability of the ecosystem is maintained by the variety of pathways in a food web. That was all about today's topic. Please, if you like the lecture, subscribe our channel and share it with your friends. Thank you very much. Allah Hafiz.